Yo, my gamers! What does it do? I thought I'd give a little bit of commentary on how I beat the CEO on controller. You know, really going deep on how I beat the cheat SNK boss syndrome troops, and of course the CEO itself. And you know, use the best strats that work for me, pretty much. So without further ado, let's get in. So basically what I do is I be extra careful about where I run. So as you can see, there are 4 gray looking pads. If you step on those, your health will go bye-bye in seconds. Those things do truck damage. Instead, what I do is find wherever a blank space is and run through that instead. In this case, it's all the way on the left. Once I do that, I make my way down those steps right there, and then I quickly stop. I mean, I instantly stop and see where the next blank space is and walk through that. In this case, it's literally in the center, so I just walk right through it. And I basically repeat the same steps until I enter the other room. Now before I go in the room, there are gray pads sitting right in front of me, so I angle my camera inside the room and find the blank spot. Then after that, I just hop on this table right here and jump and roll my way into the boss fight to avoid the last part of the cheating gray pads. Notice how I'm arranging my weapons on my mouse and keyboard to make it easier to play on my controller. This is because when I use L1 or R1, I can quickly shift between weapons all the way to the right or all the way to the left at a light speed. So now that we got that out of the way, my gamers, let's talk about the weapons I use. So the main weapons I usually use are the revolver, AK, rocket launcher for emergencies, plasma shield, and plasma pistol. So yeah, that's really all the weapons you need to beat this boss fight. Don't mind all the other weapons. I was a cop, so I was actually playing before I started fighting the CEO. So yeah, these are the few weapons you need to actually beat the boss. With all that being said, I am finally ready to get to the boss fight. So the first thing I do is place a plasma shield near the fireplace so I have a lot of distance between me and the CEO. This is because in front of me on the ground are these long rectangles, and basically those things summon walls if you shoot the CEO while you're behind them. This will give me time to take care of the troops before the CEO can attack me. Before we go more into this boss fight, I just wanted to say that the 3 troops that the CEO use are bodyguards, chasers, and enforcers. The number 1 troop that I'd really be concerned about are the enforcers, because not only do they have AKs and can spam you half to death, but they also have the most health in the game, so I'd go for them first. Then I'd go for chasers next because they have shotguns and they move fast, but they also die very quickly. Then at last I'd go for the bodyguards because while yes, they do deal the most damage, they move the slowest, so you'll still have enough time to take care of them after you get the other troops out of the way. The last thing I want to say is that the more damage you deal to these cheating troops, the slower they move, so you don't really have to worry about rushing them down that much. That's why I keep a really far distance away from the troops and just zone them out. Now, for any reason the troops are still in your face, I'd still try to spray them down with the plasma pistol, but if you absolutely have to wipe them clean with the rocket launcher, feel free to do so. Like I said, it's just the last resort. So as you can see, I'm going for the 2 chasers first and saving the bodyguard for last. This is so I have enough time to summon a wall between me and the CEO from that rectangle in front of me on the ground. Next, I quickly roll to the table to lure him back to where he was originally standing. Then I jump on the table so it's easier to deal headshots to him. Now if he tries to hit me with his arm or his laser, I can just crouch under the table so he cannot attack me. This is because in front of the table is a chair which blocks his attacks from being able to reach me. This technique is very useful for me because now I can use the wall summoning rectangles on the ground less. After that, I go back on top of the table to continue doing headshots to him. This is the part where he calls for another troop. Now I quickly back off on the table and grab my plasma shield gun. I also make sure I'm just barely in front of the wall summoning rectangle on the ground here. This is so that if for any reason I hit the CEO on accident, the walls won't summon up in front of me, and I'll still have a lot of space to zone out the troops. So it's pretty much just the same technique as before, just use the plasma shield bubble and the plasma pistol to spray down the troop, and then if the CEO tries to attack me unannounced while I'm fighting the troop, I can go behind the wall summoning rectangle again to block his attack and still deal with the troop. Another thing I want to add is that he only sends 1 troop now, so you don't have to worry about getting ambushed by 3 of them. Now I go back on the table and basically do what I've been doing earlier. Sometimes I switch to the AK depending on how I'm feeling. I also apologize for my terrible aim, I suck at aiming. I also forgot to mention that the lights slow you down, so I'd be careful depending on where you are in the room. Now as you can see, he simply walks back to where he was originally standing because I am on top of the table. That's why this technique is very useful, because now I can repeat the same steps that I've been doing before. Then I do the plasma shield and pistol thing that I did while standing in front of the rectangle on the ground before, and it's easy work. And it's pretty much old business until I get to this part. Now as you can see here, the CEO comes at me while I'm dealing with the troop unannounced. I quickly take a step back and summon a wall. Then while doing damage to the troop, I quickly summon another wall when I see the CEO walking past me. After that, I jump over the wall and try to do as much damage to the troop as possible. Once I see the CEO trying to hit me again, I quickly roll behind the other wall that I just summoned so he cannot attack me. Then I go back to zoning the troop. Now since the CEO is ready to attack me again, it's pretty much too late to go back to the table. So what I do is find a rectangle on the ground, go behind it, shoot at the CEO so there's another wall that summons between us. The CEO cannot attack me once again, and now I am ready to go back on the table and repeat some of the same steps. Now the CEO is going to go and summon lasers. While standing on the table, I'd look to my right and really dodge the lasers depending on where you are, because those things can combo you and it does truck damage. I mean, it drains almost all of your health.
After dodging the lasers, I see him trying to go at me again, so I use the table technique so he can't attack me.
Now, as you guys just saw, I did get hit by a laser once, but that is okay because as long as you don't get hit by the CEO and have more health than him, there's nothing to worry about. To add to that, I'd also like to say that the plasma shield also heals you very fast if you stand inside of it, so you really don't need a donut to help you beat the boss fight. Now it's pretty much back to old business for now. Notice how I'm using the plasma shield and pistol technique and blasting the chasers away? Easy work, my gamers. Time to go back on the table and deal some headshots. Now the fun really begins. So what you guys just saw was him stunning me and I fell straight to the ground. But that is a good thing because now he can't send any more troops. So now I can just use the table technique from here on out and finish him off. As you guys see, he's trying to attack me again, but he's not over where he needs to be, so I use the rectangle technique again to summon a wall between us. Now I lure him back to the table and finish him off. Again, sorry for my terrible aim. It's really hard to aim on a controller, and also I just suck at aiming in general, so yeah, be patient with me. As y'all just saw, I tried to be cocky by aiming him with a rocket launcher. Don't do that, it's not necessary. With that being said, I have officially beaten the CEO, my gamers, easy, in the year 2025 and on controller. Those are pretty much all the way easier techniques I use to actually beat this thing instead of, using walls 24/7. And obviously I gotta throw in a little emote there and pop off, because CEO is a really hard boss fight. And hopefully this video will even help you guys beat it. And realize that it doesn't matter if you play on touchscreen, mouse and keyboard, or controller, anything is possible. So hopefully this helped you guys out too. These are the techniques that work best for me. Hopefully they'll work best for you. And with that being said, GG's, that's the set, and on to the next one.